Good morning students, this is Kavita Anandi. The subject cost accounting. We are going to see the new chapter called LAbOUR. So in the chapter 1 cost sheet, we have seen all the expenses related to the company and we have prepared the sheets to show the full expenses which happen in the company for manufacturing of the product. In the chapter LAbOUR, this is also an expenses for the company because they have to pay a salary or the wages to the employees who are working in the organization. So in the chapter we have to deal with the expenses related to the employees alone, how much expenses are causing to the employer. Employer is nothing but who runs the organization. The person who works in the organization is called as employee. So in this chapter we are going to deal about how the remuneration wages to be fixed to the employees, in what are the ways the remuneration can be determined. A remuneration is nothing but the salary to be paid to the employees. So there are certain persons who have fixed formula. So in that way we can able to fix the salary. And the labor turnover is nothing but the how many employees are needed to work in an organization. If there is a more number of employees, we have to remove certain employees to have a proper turnover in the company so that wastage can be reduced. So for that a labor turnover formulas will be used. So in this chapter is fully we have to use a formula. Based on the formula alone we can do the sums. So students, memorize the formula and be thorough with the formula. First understand the formula, what is the reason for using the formula, then only you can memorize the formula. So first formula is labor turnover. So under labor turnover we have three methods, formulas can be used. First one is separation method and replacement method. Third one is flux method. A separation method is with the person separated from the organization. How many people have left the organization? They would have gone on their own, or the company has laid off the particular person. So both has to include in the separation. So they have left the organization. So here we have to think of two things. The person would have resigned, otherwise the company would have taken the particular employee from the company. So both has to be included in the separation method. The number of employees left in the organization in a period divided by average number of employees in a company. So how many average, we have to look on the average of how many people in the organization. Is nothing but the average can be found out by the formula. How many people are in the beginning and how many people are at the end. So beginning plus end divided by 2, which will give the average number of employees, into 100, which will give the labor turnover under separation method. The second one is a replacement method. A replacement is nothing but the person for those who are gone out of the organization, the company would have recruited some more person to come for the position. So that is a particular post is called replaced. A replaced is different from recruit. A recruit is according to the need of the company. We would have recruited more person in the year, but replacement is only consider. We have to consider only for the person who left the organization. We would have replaced, for example, in the year 30% has left the organization, but the company has recruited 100 people in that particular year. So for replacement we should not take that 100 because they have recruited 100, but in that 100 only 30% has been had done for replacement. That is called as replacement. So be clear. So number of employees replaced in a year means recruitment is different. For the person who gone out of the organization, for example, the 30 people are left the organization. For that position we have taken 20 members. That is called as replacement. So that value divided by average number of employees into 100. And the third one is flux method, which combines both separate and replacement. A number of employees left plus number of employees recruited in a period. Here we are not looking on the replaced value. Here they are correctly specifying the recruited. A recruited means, for example, if I am recruiting 100 people in the particular year, that full value has to be shown here. But in replacement, only the replaced employee value has to be shown. So in flux method, number of employees left plus number of employees recruited in a period divided by average number of employees in a 100. So this is a labor turnover formula. So we can see the sum based on the labor turnover. So here's the sum. From the following data provided to you, find out the labor turnover rate by applying 3 methods. They have asked to calculate 3 methods: flex, replacement, separation. So the information given below are: number of workers on the payroll. How many employees are working in the organization? At the beginning of the month, there were 500 employees, but at the end, 600 employees were working. So this will help to calculate the average number of employees working in the organization. So I have told the formula already. So what is the formula? Average number of employees equal to employee at the beginning plus employee at the end divided by 2. So 500 plus 600 divided by 2, which will give the average number of employees. So during the month, what has happened in the company? 5 workers left. So why 5 workers left means they on their own they left the organization. That is called as left. And 20 persons were discharged. 20 persons were discharged means here they are not gone on their own. The company has discharged the particular person. So how many people totally left the organization? 5 plus 20, which is 25. That is the value of employees left the organization. And the second information is 75 workers were recruited. Here totally 25 people left the organization, but in that year how many people we are recruiting? 75 workers. There is not a replacement value, it is a total people recruited for the particular year. So of these means in the 75 workers, 10 workers were recruited in the vacancy of those leaving. So 10 worker is the replaced value in the particular year for those who left the organization, because they have clearly specified 75 workers were recruited. Of these, 10 workers were recruiting in the vacancy of those leaving. So the 10 only in 75 workers, 10 were recruited for the people left the organization. So all the information has been known. So now we can go for the sum. So on a flex method, what is the formula? First write down the details. A number of employees left is 5 plus 20, 25. So how many people we are replacing for the gone employee? Only 10%. So how many employees we are recruiting totally? The 10 has been included in 75. So don't add other 10 in with 75, because in the 75 they have 10 has been replaced. So don't include again 10. So formula is number of employees left plus number of employees recruited divided by average number of employees into 100. So what is the average number of employees formula? Number of employees in beginning plus number of employees at end divided by 2. So by applying the formula, I am getting the value 550 is the average number of employees. Now we know how many number of employees left. 25 has left the organization. So 25. So number of employee recruited. How many people we are recruiting totally? 75. Divided by 550 into 100. So the answer is 18.18 is the labor turnover for the particular month under flex method. And next one is replacement method. So what is the replacement method? Number of employee replaced by average number of employees into 100. So girls, I have used the short form. Don't use the short form. You have to write full average number of employees. So out of 75 recruited for the year, only the 10 has been taken for the old position. So 10 by 550 into 100, which is 1.82% is the labor turnover for the particular month. The last method is separation method. A number of employees separated divided by average number of employees into 100. So how many people has left? Separated is left the organization. Here we have to include both. They maybe went on their own or company would have discharged them. So 5 plus 20, 25. So 25 by 550 into 100, which is 4.55. So this is a labor turnover method. Read the question carefully. First write down what is the information given, then apply the formula, then you will get the answer. So try these two sum as a homework sum. You have to find out what are the details. So first question, Raghavendra Metal Company. Given the information, number of employees at the beginning, number of employees at the end. So basing this two information, you can able to find out what is the average number of employee. So number of employee resigned on their own, number of employee discharged by the company. This both information where we have to use for separation method. And number of employee replaced is 19. There is no new recruitment. In that case, under flex method, for recruit, how many people are newly recruited? 18. If a newly recruit is given as 30, you can take that value. If nothing is given, the replaced value will be the recruit value. So by applying the three formulas, you can able to find out the answer. And the second question, a personnel department of the concern gives you the following information. So number of employee on 1st January, number of employees on 31st January. So this will use for average number of employee. The information given is during the month 20% quit and service of 80 persons were terminated. So how many people totally terminated? 100, because 20 persons quit on their own, but company has terminated 80 persons. So how many people are separated? 100 people. And 300 workers are needed, but we need the workers 300 for particular year. But what the company has done, only 50 people has been recruited. So 50 workers has to be recruited. So you have to use 50 for recruitment purpose. So this can be used for replaced value also, because how many people totally went? 100 people. So don't look, they don't think that they are not given the replaced value, but they are given 50 workers as newly recruited. So we have to see, compared with the people gone out the organization. How many people has gone totally? 100 people has gone out of the organization, but the company has recruited only 50 people, which is less than the terminated people. So it can be considered as for recruitment also, and for as well as replacement value also, that 50. So here you can flex method, you have to use 50 plus 100. For replacement method, 50 by the average number of employees. Girls, kindly do the sums, because this is an important 5 mark sum. Surely will get a 5 mark, one important 5 mark and a 10 mark question in the chapter. It's very easy chapter. If you thorough with the formula and the procedure, surely you can easily score a 10 mark as well as a 15 marks using this chapter. The next one is labor turnover is over. The next main heading is the wages and remuneration and incentives. Incentives is nothing but for the work you are doing. If you are doing a work overtime, the company has to give something that they have to give in the way of incentives. So it can be a bonus or a extra payment. So this is called as remuneration and incentives for the employees. This is also an expenses for the company, because the money is coming out of the organization, so it is an expenses of the company. So this so there are various systems or various ways you can follow. The main first two methods are time rate system and piece rate system. A time rate is nothing but according to your working time, the money will be paid. How many hours you are working? According to the rule of Factory Companies Factory Act 1948, you have to pay. You have to minimum. You can maximum of you can work for 8 hours in a day. So that is a rule. So if you are not giving a working also, you should be thorough that maximum of a day per day you can work up to 8 hours. So that is a rule under Factory Act. So hours work. So there is no need to give a information. So in a per day, how many hours you have to work? 8 hours. So that is the hours work. So according to the hours work, the rate will be paid. So the company will fix a rate per hour. If you are working for 10 hours, according to the hour, the amount will be paid. So maximum of 8 hours only you can pay. So 8 into, they have for the company, the rate may be varied according to the company policy. One company can fix 5 rupees per hour, one company can fix 6 rupees per hour. So according to the company needs and want, they will fix the rate. So but the hours won't change, because a time worked, how many hours maximum they can work in a day? 8 hours. So that has to be used for time rate system. So in the heading itself, they clearly given, it belongs to the time. For hours there, how many hours there, how many working, that is called time. The next one is piece rate system. A piece is nothing but the production made by the particular employee. So A, B are working in an organization. The company can fix each for per day they have to produce 100 units. That is a standard output. The company is fixing a standard minimum of 100 outputs you have to manufacture to go out of the work. But it depends on the employee to produce above the 100. For example, 2 employees are working, the standard output is 100, but the A employee is producing 110, B employee is producing 120. So here under the piece rate system, according to the unit produced, they will be paid. So A is producing 110, B is producing 120. So for A, according to the how much he has been produced, 110. So 110 into, they will here for the time they won't consider. For producing a single piece, they will fix 20 paisa. So if I am producing 100 units, 100 into 20 paisa, 20 rupees will be the wages. So like that, for rate per piece for the unit you are producing. If I am manufacturing a pen company, if I am manufacturing a pen, I am produce standard outputs to manufacture per day is 10 pens. A is producing 12 pens, B is producing 13 pens. So according to the piece, I have to pay. For one pen, I am giving the rate of 10. So I am producing 12 pens. So A will get 12 into 10, 120. B is producing 15. So 15 into 10, 150. So that is a piece rate. So this is the difference between time rate and piece rate. So mostly for time rate, the rate per hour will be given in the question. But for piece rate, mostly they won't give the piece rate per piece. So we have to find out what is the rate per piece. The formula, if it is given straight away, you can apply. If it is not given, you have to use this formula to find out the answer. A rate per piece equal to a standard rate per hour divided by standard production per hour. So if you are using per day, denominator should also be per day. So, but in formula we are using per hour, so denominator should also be a per hour. So what is the formula? Standard rate per hour. A standard rate is time rate, which is always given in the question. You take that rate by standard production per hour. For per hour, how many units you can be produced? That will give the rate per piece. So this is rate per piece. So this is a question where for the time rate and piece rate system, a company has a 5 units. Company has set 5 units per hour as a standard output. So what the company is fixing, for per day they can manufacture 5 units. Each employee is compulsorily they have to manufacture a 5 units. Each unit having a piece rate of 3. Here they are given the piece rate. So for each unit you are producing, the company will pay 3 rupees is a piece rate. So don't collapse with piece rate and the rate per hour. The piece rate is totally different from the rate per hour. If it is piece rate is not given, you can able to find out, but rate per hour is surely it will be given in the question. In a normal day of 8 hours, how many hours you can work in a factory? 8 hours. Raman is one employee and Krishnan is the other employee. Raman is producing per unit 35 units, but what is the actual standard unit? 5 units. But they are able to produce, Raman is able to produce 35 units and Krishnan is able to produce 50 units. And usually the hourly rate, so usually hourly rate is nothing but the rate per hour for the worker is 15. So this is the information given. First write down the question and find out the earnings of a Raman and working under time rate, piece rate, and piece rate with guaranteed time rate is applied. So first one you have to use the time rate formula. Second one you have to use the piece rate formula. Third one you have to compare both rate. For A which one is benefited, that value has to be taken. For B which value should be benefited, that value has to be taken. So that is the third information given. So now we can go for the sum. A standard output 5 units. Piece rate per unit is 3. Working hours, that is the time worked is 8 hours. Raman is producing 35 units. Krishna is producing 50 units. A rate per hour value is 15. Now apply the formula. First one is time rate system. What is the formula? Hours worked into rate per hour. So for how many employees are given? 2 employees. So for Raman, both is working, for both the working hours will be 8. That can't be changed. So for both the value will be same because it is based on time. So 8 into 15, 8 into 15 which is 120, 120 because it's based on time, number of hours worked. Always the number of hours worked will per day will be 8. The next, the piece rate system is according to the number of pieces produced by the employee. So it will be different according to the production made by each employee. Raman is manufacturing number of pieces. Raman how much he is producing? 35. Krishna is producing 50. Rate per piece is given in the question, so there is no need for use a particular formula. So how much is it? 3. So 3. So if the rate per piece is not given, So they are given standard output per hour is 5 unit. What is the standard rate per hour? 15. So what is the formula for piece rate? A rate per hour divided by piece per rate. So 15 by 3, which is 5 will be, 15 by 5, which is the answer, 3 will be the answer. So 35 into 3, which is 105. Krishnan value is 50 into 3, which is 150. So this time rate and piece rate is very important sum. So kindly go through the sum. And third one is I told which is beneficial should be given to each employee. So guaranteed money. A time rate for both people we are getting 120. Under piece rate for Raman we are getting 105. For Krishna we are getting 150. So for Raman, compare Raman alone. Raman under time rate we are getting 120. Under piece rate 105. For Raman, which one will be benefited? Time rate. So we are using a time rate formula. 8 into 15, 120, because it gets more amount there. And for Krishnan, in time rate he is getting 120. In piece rate he is getting 150. For him, which one can be benefited? Piece rate. So under piece rate, apply the formula, and the answer is 150. So this is the time rate system. So my dear students, kindly go through the sums and go through the formula which I have told. So before starting off an sum, I will explain the each and formula, then I will proceed for a sum. But you note down the formula, all the formulas correctly, memorize it. One day I will keep a test on the formulas alone. So go through the formulas again and again, understand the formula, then memorize it. Then only you can able to understand. Just don't mug a bit. But first understand what is the reason why the values have been there. Then you study the formula. Surely it will be an easy chapter. That is any doubts, comment in the section or contact me personally. Thank you, girls.